I think most of you know that a delegation from the conference just came to Israel from a visit in France. We met with President Hollande and other major French leaders. These meetings were well publicized and covered in the press. Less covered was the fact that we went to Toulouse to visit Or Torah, the school where Jewish school children and a rabbi were murdered less than a year ago for being Jewish. Ronald Lauder and I sat next to the school principal, a rabbi whose 6-year-old daughter was among those murdered. The father, with all the energy he can muster, continues to run this wonderful school. But he's very reluctant to talk about what happened directly and rarely does so. He doesn't even receive that many visitors in the school. At one point, without any words or explanation, he simply handed me an electronic picture of a beautiful young girl, and of course I realized who it was. I was acutely aware at that moment, Mr. Prime Minister, of you and French President Hollande, that you had visited Toulouse together and sat down with this grieving father when you were in France. And I thought once again, as I do frequently, what a different world Jews live in because of the fact that 70 very short years after the slaughter of 40% of our people, a Jewish army and a Jewish government protect a Jewish state where any Jew is welcome to come and lead his or her definition of a Jewish life. And I thought as well how the still young state of Israel has changed the ground rules, not only on Jewish security, but on Jewish spirituality, Jewish identity, Jewish learning, and intellectual life, and on Jewish culture. It seems obvious to me that every Jew's life has been transformed by the existence of the State of Israel. Some know it, some don't know it yet. On this very occasion last year, I introduced the Prime Minister by thanking him for the incredible pressure and anxiety he endures as head of the Israeli government. The most dedicated of Israel's supporters in America and all over the world, and surely, Mr. Prime Minister, the Conference of Presidents of major American Jewish organization fits that category. We can get a night's rest even after the longest days. The Prime Minister's unimaginable responsibility puts him on call 24/7. And I don't think, Mr. Prime Minister, that the year you have lived since I delivered that message in this room has provided you with much relief. But on any Jewish historical basis, Mr. Prime Minister, I believe the cup is much more full than empty, and the reason is that you and your predecessors have brought about one of the greatest accomplishments in Jewish history, an accomplishment rightly labeled a miracle. You, Mr. Prime Minister, are surely one of the dominant figures in the history of this country, twice Prime Minister and recently, it would seem, re-elected. You have also held other portfolios, including the finance ministry, during the era in which Israel became a major financial power. You've led the Likud, been in its top leadership for decades. I'm sure, Mr. Prime Minister, that if you were to speak individually with the various members of this conference, you'd receive a variety of suggestions on how to form a government and on quite a lot of other issues. I receive on your behalf many suggestions almost every day. But our conference delivers to you, Mr. Prime Minister, a strong consensus message of appreciation for taking on the responsibilities, the awesome responsibilities for our people at a critical time. We'll continue to do everything we can to maintain and strengthen the unique and unbreakable bond between America and Israel, such a logical, natural bond based in shared values. And we will do whatever we can to continue to fight the outrageous lies that so much of the world perpetrates explicitly about Israel and implicitly about Jews.